Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of TV is Our Real Mom. I'm Dave,
I'm Katie.
and you are listening to our Survivor Recap podcast, in which we break down the latest episode of Survivor. And last night's episode was Survivor Kaoh Rong, episode 13, and not a tier 1 episode once again.
I don't even know if I could call it a tier 2 episode.
Yeah, this is not one of the great episodes of Survivor. I think last night in Know It Alls, Steven said that even the worst episode of Survivor is better than the best episode of a lot of shows. And I'm like, no, that's not true. That's Lost. You know, Lost is like that. The worst episode of Lost is better than some of the best episodes of other shows. But Survivor has some really
shitty
bad
episodes of Lost.
Yeah, Lost has like maybe 3 or 4 that are way down there, and then
season 3 was not, or at least the beginning of season 3 was not a high point. But that's a different deserted island show. We're not talking about that right now. But yeah, I mean that was a bit of a stretch, I guess. But you know, it's not like I wasn't entertained. I could have done without, you know, all the talking about constipation and urethras and kidney damage. You know, that wasn't great. But I mean, that's what happened. I mean, why?
There just was nothing else going on. Like there just wasn't
Well,
anything.
You know what I was thinking? You know what I was thinking during this whole thing? Do you remember when Caleb got evacuated? And they could have made a whole episode out of that. But they rushed another immunity and then Alicia getting voted out too. Right. So, like, part of me wonders, why didn't they just spread that out? The Caleb thing, 1 episode, Alicia getting voted out, another episode. Like,
and then rushed.
And then this could have been like just kind of quickly taken care of. But maybe they didn't want this in the finale. I'm guessing that a lot of exciting stuff happens in the finale because it's a really compelling Final Four.
Oh, yeah.
And so maybe they wanted the Final Four to just be their own story for the finale. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough to say. But yeah, I still tend to agree that, man, maybe they should have just squeeze this into a different episode somehow. You know, I don't know.
It seems like it would. I mean, it was nice of them to give. Maybe they just wanted to give Joe his due because he's an older man, and you know, we didn't see him play much. But there's still a respect sort of thing. I mean, this is the oldest guy that has played since season 1 and then season 8. So it's, you know, maybe it was a respect kind of thing. And he had we didn't get to see a lot of it, but if you watch the secret scenes and the Ponderosa, I mean, people were really close to Joe. Like, and you saw it when he said farewell to everybody, like how upset they all were. Like, he was very important to all those people. So, you know, I think maybe it was just let's give Joe the whole episode. The reward challenge was pretty great that he won. And then say farewell in style, I guess.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting how at the reward, the spa thing or whatever, it was like a massage thing. Is that what it was? Is that what they went to?
Yeah.
Joe, when commenting to Aubry, he said that, you know, you've played a tough game, you know, smart game, and he said I've played more of a social game. He said,
yeah,
he said, I have more of the social game, and I was like, okay, I didn't know he was social, but yeah, I think you saw more of that in this episode, and when he left, that okay, yeah, Joe maybe had some social game, you know, when they weren't showing him being cantankerous and whatnot. I think he's the type of guy who, in his profession, he knows how to be with people, and he was probably just going around, you know, talking to everybody, checking in with everybody all the time, and it was just too boring for them to show us that. And so I know he's tooting his own horn, but maybe he did have social game. He seems to think so.
Yeah, but if you look at the secret scenes, other people were tooting his horn too. Like, people were, you know, really sad to see him go and really appreciated what he brought to the table, I guess. So there's a good scene with Aubry talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, Aubrey has good reason to be sad to see him go, because I mean,
Yeah, you know,
he was part of her
she
plan.
came off a little bit cold in this episode, I feel.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, I mean, but I don't blame her. Like
No.
you're there to play the game and win $1 million. I mean, she cares about nothing else. When you're there in the game, you don't give a shit, or you shouldn't. You shouldn't give a shit about people unless it's
Yeah, but
to further your game.
it was just interesting to me how after they came back from tribal council and Tai was so confused about what had gone down, and Aubrey was just, it seemed like she was almost writing him off, like, yeah, whatever. And then at the reward challenge, she blatantly in front of all of them was like, okay, we're taking Sydney, like didn't even consider taking Tai. And then
Yeah,
once she realized that Sydney was a threat, which we can talk about later why it took her that long to
yeah.
realize that,
Mhm.
then she's like, oh my gosh, I need to take Tai to the end. Then she was like, oh, Tai, and you need, she was so comforting and
Yeah,
kind-hearted and open to him, and it was like, well, where was this chick yesterday when he
yeah.
really needed a friend.
I guess in that on that level, it is kind of disturbing how she how she just went from like just cold to tie, and then just like, but that's the game. I mean, you got to
No, it
respect the
is a
game.
game, and she knows that, and a lot of people don't know that, so you have to give her props for that.
Oh yeah,
It's
it's
just
just
weird how,
it's not pretty. It's not pretty.
no, it's not. The basis of their connection was Ty's, or the basis of their alliance was Ty's trust in her, and the fact that Ty felt good about her and felt a connection to her, and she almost threw it away before she realized she needed it. And then she was like, and maybe that was a way of distancing herself from him so it wasn't so hard to cut him loose. And then once she realized she didn't have to cut him loose, she was like, oh, I can be tight with him and it's fine. So, I mean, maybe there's reasoning, emotional reasoning behind it. But I think we need to talk about why it took Aubrey so freaking long, why she just suddenly realized, oh, Sydney is not a good person to go to the end with. Like, why did it take her this long to see that?
I don't know. I mean, what are we seeing that maybe the contestants haven't seen
Well,
as
here's the thing
much?
about Sydney, I guess, is no one's really been talking about her. I mean, there have been moments where we've been like, ooh, watch out for Sydney. But it's not like we've been talking about her consistently through the season about how good she is. And I think she's like scarily good at this game in a
Yeah.
way that you don't even notice it, which is even more scary than how Aubrey is good at the game, which has been
Mhm.
to make big moves, but to be showy about it and to let people know. Whereas Sydney has been behind most of the big moves there, taking the credit for it. And I think that is a person that's even more of a threat to win at the end than maybe Aubrey. Unless
Yeah.
people, unless it's too under the radar and people don't even notice it. It all depends on her final speech, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know how she'll do in a final tribal speech scenario, but um, yeah, I agree that she is much more subtle about what she does. She's very sneaky. I mean, and she is behind a lot of the big moves. You could pretty much just go back and watch the season and see that a lot of the stuff that a lot of the changes in the game happened because of her and things she helped set in motion. If it wasn't her, she was helping Aubrey make it happen. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and to be honest, I think we have talked, at least in our podcast, we've talked a lot about her this season and how much we
Mm-hmm.
like her. I mean, our pre-merge special, we pretty much predicted Sydney would win the game. So
That's true. Yeah.
that's
And
yet to
we've
be
been
seen.
Team Sydney, but I think a lot of people haven't
I
been.
agree. On
Yeah.
yeah, on what is it, know it alls or whatever. I think
Mm-hmm.
they said that they feel like they haven't hardly talked about Sydney since the pre-merge game, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that's true, but yeah, maybe other people haven't been covering her as
Oh,
much
and
as.
Dalton Ross, who writes the Survivor stuff for Entertainment Weekly, in the episode before the finale, he always, in his recap, he does like a ranking of the seasons. And he put Kaoh Rong like right in the middle, like at number 16, I think. But he said, like, it was all about Aubry. He didn't even mention Sydney. And I was like, well, what about if Sydney ends up being the winner in this game? Like, and you didn't even mention her in your pre-finale summary of the season when she's been a force. Most of the pre-merge or the pre-swap at least was at Braun Beach, and she was a part of that. She just let all that crap go on around her. She was integral in letting Scott and Jason find the idol and get it away from Alicia, but not being the one to have it, and therefore not being a target herself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't understand how you can do granted a short summary of the season, but not even mention Sydney.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, she pretty much narrated a lot of that too. I mean, she got a decent amount of confessionals, explaining what she was doing. But I mean, that's partly because I'm guessing she got that opportunity because here she is at the Final Four. So, yeah, Sydney rocks. What can I say?
Amazing.
Yeah.
So who? I mean, I guess we should talk about Joe a little more. Do we need to talk about
So did Joe? I feel like Joe lost because he ate beef. Like I feel like that's I feel like that's what happened. Like he knew he never ate meat. He said he like hardly ate meat anymore, and he knows this, and he goes and eats like a ton of beef. Like that is the worst possible thing you can do for your digestive system as a 73-year-old man.
He's 71. You keep saying he's 70.
Whatever, same thing. It doesn't matter.
Hey man, when you get that old, every year matters.
Yeah, well, when you're 1 year old, every year matters too.
I don't remember seeing Joe on any other award. I think he was just really hungry.
Yeah, no, I don't think he had gotten a chance to eat like the other people had. But still, like, and I also wonder too, like, did Aubry make a mistake by not asking him to slow down or like suggesting like, hey,
she can't sit there cutting his food for him. I mean, at some point you have to cut the cord. They're allies, but they're not like, each other's guardian.
I gotta wonder if she should have been like, hey Joe, that's gonna rough you up, man. Like you gotta slow down.
Joe would have been like, Aubry, you're right. I feel like Joe would have been like, shut up, Aubry. I'm gonna eat my damn food if I want to eat my damn food.
Yeah.
He's kind of cranky.
Cranky old man. He probably would have said that, yeah, but I still think she should have tried. Tried to stop him.
Aubry, man. Don't put that on Aubry.
Well, anything you can do to stop Joe from going out of the game. Because that's what happened.
She was sitting pretty. I think she got, after the reward, I guess, she got Tai back on her side, I feel. I mean, we can talk about that later, but it seems like she got Tai back on her side, and Joe was her ticket to the $1 million. And with Tai, they would have had the 3-2 numbers. They could have gotten rid of Michele and Sydney.
Yep.
And easy sailing to the end. But, yeah, it really screwed things up for Aubry, Joe going out of the game like that, rather than someone that wasn't on her side.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. She should have stopped him from eating the beef.
Well, if you can put that on Aubry.
I'm putting it on her. She should have done something.
I don't think you can put what. Okay.
I can do that.
Well, I have to agree to disagree on that one. You can't stop a 71-year-old cranky man from eating what he wants to eat, but
yeah, she could have tried. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, let's talk about that now. Let's talk about Aubry and Tai's discussion. I thought that kind of seemed like a winner edit moment to me. I don't know. What do you think? For Aubry?
I just want to say I'm so over the winner edit crap. Like, I don't think there is one. At this point, everybody that's left has gotten coverage, decent amount of coverage, emotional, strategic, what have you. Aubry's gotten more because she's an excellent narrator of this game. I don't think you can debate that. Michele is just recently starting to get more coverage just because of the fact that there's fewer people left, and she's kind of in an interesting position. She's not necessarily interesting herself. But, at this point, any of the four of them, you could say, oh, yeah, they had a winner's edit. So
yeah, I agree. I don't think there's any one winner's edit. I don't think that exists anymore where it's like this one person has the one winner's edit that it's more like a thing where they put out where certain people, like 4 or 5 people, have winners edits that keep you like thinking, oh, okay, that looks like they have a chance. And then whoever wins, then you can look back and be like, okay, look at their edit. Yeah, they definitely had these little moments along the way that were like, look at the game this person played. Because if they didn't show any of that for the winner, it would just not be a compelling story at all. So,
Yeah.
I mean, even Natalie in Survivor Samoa, like, she doesn't have like these crazy big moves and weird stuff that like Russell Hantz does, but what they do show is they give her lots of confessionals where she's like, this is my plan. My plan is to team up with Russell, and like I'm just going to let him do all the stuff and deflect, and I'll just be behind him.
Well, that's because they had to make it look like she deserved to win.
Exactly. Every winner gets something.
I guess that the winner's edit.
Yeah, exactly. Not that there's just one winner's edit. There's a few of them that, so you, and that's good. You know, I don't want to be able to pick out the winners that be like, well, they're obviously winning. But anyways, I thought this moment was a great winner's edit moment for Aubry. Just being able to just connect with Tai on an emotional level, and such a point where he breaks down crying. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah, I don't think she anticipated that. I think Tai was just so, and they must all just be so drained at this point, and Tai especially, because I think he's an emotional creature at heart, and so I think that's why Aubry is able to, I don't want to say manipulate, but I mean, she is manipulating him. She knew that they connected emotionally when she first got him to come over, and she wanted to reignite that after she had like kind of tossed it aside. And then she realized she needed it.
Yeah, I don't think she anticipated it going that well for getting Tai on her side, but it was still just like perfectly executed of, you know, just that conversation, just making him feel comfortable. Like, hey, like I'm telling you the truth. I want to go to the end with you, which is the truth. And making
now,
now, true, yeah. Now that he can't play the idol anymore, and well, now that she realized she can't beat Sydney, that's pretty much what it is, or that she might not beat Sydney. I suppose she could beat Sydney. Yeah.
I mean, it'd be really awesome. It's always how it goes, you know. It'd be really great to see Aubry and Sydney face off.
Oh,
but
man,
I think at this point they both sniffed each other out, and they're like, "No, we can't go to the end together." So it's whoever. But at this point, because Joe went out, I mean, they're drawing completely even. So like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah, I don't see how. Yeah, is it physically possible that now that they've, like you said, they've sniffed each other out, it's not really possible that they can both make it to the end, is it? I'm trying to think of it if there's a way that could happen, but I don't think.
I can see maybe, you know, taking out Michele at Final Four. You know, they haven't talked about the possibility of a Final Two yet. Like, it's a Final Two. I mean, right? It's obviously got to be a Final Two.
Because they're still doing a 2-hour finale, right?
Yeah, because I was thinking maybe there was going to be a medevac in the finale, but that's been taken care of. So now, you know, there has to be a Final Two.
Yeah,
there might be a loved one's visit, you know, and that might take up some time, but it has to be a Final Two. So when they figure that out, then maybe they'll realize, and you'd think the production would have to tell them at this point, right? Like, hey, this isn't a Final Three, so just because you win this immunity doesn't mean you're going to Final Tribal Council. You know what I mean? They'll have to tell them at the immunity challenge, at least, at the latest, right?
Yeah. I mean, they'd have to, you know, otherwise it's...
Because if they go to Tribal Council and they're like, oh, guess what? Psych, you still have one more immunity to go. This is a Final Two.
Yeah. Or, by the way, that was it. You're the Final Three. And they're like, oh, okay. Like, it's like...
But I think that's what they're expecting right now.
I don't know.
Because in all their discussions of going to the end, like Aubry talking about going to the end with Joe and Tai, it's like, well, she obviously thinks it's a Final Three.
Yeah.
So when are they going to tell him?
I don't know. That's got to be coming up. Well, obviously.
Well, there's only one episode left. So,
definitely coming up, for sure.
Definitely coming up.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's going to change everything, I think.
Where is the loved one's visit? Why is the loved one's visit pushed back so far if it's even going to happen?
Well, they did that in Survivor Worlds Apart as well. Like, it just took place in the finale.
Oh, it was in the finale? I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. And And this would be the season that filmed right after Worlds Apart aired, right? Or
Yeah.
so,
I'm guessing they were like, okay, for second chances, we're going to bring 8 loved ones out. So for this one, let's only bring 4 just to save
yeah,
money.
yeah, that could be. I mean, you got to fly a lot of people out. You got to deal with them.
Yeah, and they got like for Cambodia, maybe they knew about Val and Jeremy maybe, and they were like, oh, we got to get that moment. So we got to move the loved ones visit up. I mean, I don't know how much they know before this stuff goes on, but
that's entirely possible. I mean, they could be looking at, their family members that they're thinking about bringing out and be like, okay, there's not a lot of great family members here. Like, we'll just wait till the end. And then we'll have to do 4.
Well, yeah, and then on second chances, you had blood versus water people. So you had the opportunity to bring back former survivors as loved ones. And so you probably wanted to have as many loved ones as possible coming out.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. What else is there to talk about? I thought it's interesting. I mean, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, you go ahead.
You go ahead. You just probably.
Oh, you actually had a specific point. Mine was more general.
Oh, I was just gonna say that we should mention that no idols were played.
Yeah.
At all, right? Like nope. Not even played. Just basically Neil had one
held out as a big like, ooh, you can't get me all season long, but never actually played. Yeah.
Yeah, and all the people that have had them pretty much have gotten screwed over. And I mean, Ty's still there, but he didn't get to play his because of Joe, so he didn't necessarily get to choose who he wanted to go home by using it. So I don't know, kind of weird that all 3 of those things are gone, and none
maybe
of them
they were
got
cursed. Played. Or not cursed, but maybe, I don't know. That's not a thing.
That's not right. No,
that's not actually a real thing. Sorry.
No,
but no, it's, that's what's fun about Survivor is how, last season you had idols played to perfection. I've always wanted people like to hold on to the idol and not tell a soul. And last season you got that like 3 or 4 times. Here, this season, you have the opposite. Everybody knew, so they never had to play them. So there's 2 very different ways to play your idols. Like you can hold it out as a threat, like Tony did, like Yule did, like all these guys did, or you can just completely keep it a secret and blow people's minds at the right time.
Yeah. And I feel like the general consensus is with the super idol, the best way to play it is as a threat, like to threaten people with it. Because that worked with Yule and it worked with Tony. Like anytime there's been a super idol, it has worked out pretty well to just flaunt it and scare the other contestants into doing something else. And this season it didn't work out that way, thanks to Tai, and that's pretty awesome.
His flippy floppiness.
Yeah, he's flipping and flopping like a flapjack all over the place. In the words of the great Kyle Jason.
That boy can talk.
Oh, he can talk. Yeah. Apparently.
So he says.
I didn't see
it. If you can talk that good, why'd you get voted out at Final 6? Just saying.
Yeah, and the only reason he made it to Final 6 was kind of because everyone was saying that he was a goat, basically.
Yeah.
Not that I do like Jason, and I saw some things about his gameplay that were good, but I think he needs to totally ditch the whole
bravado,
the jerk thing. Yeah.
He's like clinging to it when you can kind of see, and especially in Ponderosa videos, that's not who he is. Like I think he has to be tough. He had to be tough in the military. He has to be tough in his job, but I don't think it's really at the core of him. Not that I know him at all, but it doesn't seem like that's really who he is.
Yeah. I think with Survivor casting too, there's a little bit of mind games that go on where they get you to play the character archetype they cast you for. Some people are more like open to doing that, and some people, I think it just kind of happens. I mean, like a guy like Nick, he definitely seemed to enjoy playing into his arrogant douche archetype that he was cast to play. And I think Jason fits that too, where he was obviously cast to play the tough, like motorcycle, like tattoo guy, like that's the character archetype we're supposed to see him play, and he plays into it at times. But I think, yeah, deep down he seems like a more gentle type of person.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. Who's to say? I mean, I just know what I saw from him on TV. So.
Yep. Same here.
Samesies.
Samesies.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the final four here. Unless maybe this is something better to save for the end of the discussion.
I mean, I don't know what else there is to talk about this episode. I mean, strategy-wise. I mean, Joe doesn't really play into it, so we might as well just talk about the other four.
Maybe we should talk about Tai and Michele a little bit. Their thing.
I guess, but I feel like that was just filler because they had to draw the whole episode out.
It was I found it a little interesting because, like, what Tai talks about, I think that was really hard for him to do, and it was definitely something everyone can relate to. I feel like the thing he said to Michele about, there's something, some people you just have chemistry with, like, and other you either like have that chemistry or you sort of are forced to put up a wall because you don't know how to reconcile. Like, oh, me and this person just don't have chemistry. So the easiest thing for us to do as human beings is to sort of just like ignore that person. And I really do think that's kind of what was going on with him and Michele. He felt like he had to put up this wall because there's no chemistry there, and he sort of, I don't know. What did you think about that? I thought I could kind of relate to that. I thought it was.
I mean, everybody comes across that in their work lives and in their everyday lives. Like, you're forced to work with people that you don't have chemistry with, and it can be grueling and painful, but you get through it. And I think in a situation like Survivor, you even need to grin and bear it even more than you would like in a workplace. You just have to pretend like there's chemistry. It's only 39 days. You can't work with someone who doesn't feel like you're genuine and open to them. And I feel like that's a big hole in Tai's game, is that he closed himself off to someone, and you should never, ever close yourself off to anyone, I don't think.
Yeah. And he closed himself off to Michele big time from the sounds of it.
Yeah.
Like no relationship with her whatsoever.
And I can't, and he let it manifest itself in that tribal council last week, where he's like, I mean, just in front of everybody, like, why is she why is she a part of our alliance? Like, why is she in this alliance? Because we already have an alliance.
How you ended up in this.
Michele was right. Michele was a part of things long before Tai came around. So it's like, where does he get off saying that,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, in that discussion he was having with Aubry in the opening of the episode, he's like, me, I'm not like that. And I'm like, you were acting like that in pretty much the entire tribal council. Like, where's this coming from? Like, he's not really owning his how much he was throwing Michele under the bus. And like, he put 2 votes on her, and he's like, that at that part I was thinking to myself, how is he still mad at her? Like, hasn't he come to the realization that he tried to vote her out with 2 votes? And
she didn't really do anything to him. She thought she was with him.
She was defending herself, and apparently she used some harsh words, which they probably weren't even that harsh. It was just like her defending herself.
In Tai's opinion, I'm sure, but probably not that harsh. Like what we saw, I don't think her words were harsh. I think her tone was harsh because she thought she was going home, or she thought there was a possibility she was going home, and she was fighting. So in that regard, I was happy to see Michele like fight for her spot,
Absolutely. She was just
defending. And Tai just kind of. Yeah.
And somehow Tai forgets that he tried to vote her out with 2 votes. So I just don't get it.
Tai was flustered, and he thought he had it like all the way to the end with Joe and Aubry, and that just threw him for a loop, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
It's hard to make sense of his game, to be honest. He played a confusing game, and he's not good he's not like Aubry is at like explaining why he's doing this and why he's doing that. Like it's hard to get insight into the game he's playing.
Yeah, he does have a tough time explaining himself. I mean, he has a tough enough time just saying a regular sentence in English, so I can't imagine.
Yeah, I mean, but then at the same time, like I feel like sometimes he's talking and I'm like, oh, he explains his feelings really well, like his emotional feelings.
Yeah,
but he's not
true.
great at explaining his strategy.
Yeah, I think that's partly because he's not entirely sure what he's doing.
That's probably the crux of it, yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, I think that pretty much is all I really wanted to talk about with Tai and Michele. Let's talk a little bit about the Final Four and how you've got kind of a situation here where you've got Aubry and Tai are pretty much locked in together. Mm-hmm. And if Sydney is realizing that Aubry is a big threat, Sydney and Michele are sitting on the other side, like, let's get Aubry out. So you sort of got this 2 versus 2 in a Final Four situation. So like how does that shake out? What happens?
Okay. Let's talk this out.
Let's
well, let's just pick a person. Let's say Aubry wins immunity at Final Four. Okay. So she's got Tai with her, and Michele and Sydney are together. But if Aubry pulls Michele aside and she's like, hey, I think it's time to take Sydney out, and she's like, well, Tai's with me. I mean, Michele could just, rather than having to like go to 2-2 and have to make fire, she could decide to vote Sydney out just to save her own.
Yeah. To me, if Aubry wins immunity, it's a no-brainer. Sydney's gone. To me,
yeah.
I don't know.
But
I don't think
if Michele does decide to make it a tie, she has nothing to lose because it would be between Aubry and Sydney for fire. So one of them goes out. It's no skin off her nose.
I think Aubry had immunity.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. In this case, it'd be Tai versus Sydney. I don't think they'd do that. I think they'd vote. I think she'd vote out Sydney.
Yeah, I think that's pretty. But you're right. Anything's possible. You got to consider all scenarios. But it's most likely that Sydney's gone if Aubry can win immunity. What happens if Tai wins immunity?
Tai wins immunity, then I can see a fire-making challenge as more of a possibility because it ends up being Sydney versus Aubry. And, at least from Michelle's perspective, she's like, if either one goes home, I don't even care. But then she's left with, if Sydney goes home, she's left with Aubry and Tai. Neither of them is taking her. I mean, they'd be smart to, but
I can't see them pulling Tai either. Like if Tai wins immunity, I can't see Michele and Sydney getting Tai to vote Aubry out. So yeah, it's pretty much fire-making challenge.
I don't know, man. Tai's pretty.
He's all over the place
with the wind.
Yeah, that's like a bamboo branch.
So I feel like if they said the right thing, I don't think anyone's as capable of emotionally connecting with him as Aubry is. So that's the main problem. But if they say the right things. And Tai has proven he can be kind of cutthroat, If Sydney's like, look, Aubry's going to win. If you go to the end with Aubry, you are going to lose. If they throw that out there, and Tai's, changed his mind many times before. So I could certainly see, him entertaining the idea at least.
Yeah, that's true.
And she did betray him once, so.
That is true. Touche. What happens if Sydney wins immunity?
Again, they'd have to pull Tai, to get Aubry out.
The same situation in a way.
Or it could end up being a fire-making challenge between Aubry and Tai, or Aubry and. I don't know. That'd be. Let's see.
It seems like
Sydney wins immunity. If Sydney wins immunity, maybe both Sydney and Michele vote for Aubry, and Tai. While he doesn't vote for Aubry, maybe he votes for Michele and just kind of throws away a vote, and then therefore Aubrey's voted out, but he didn't write her name down. that kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe that could happen, I suppose.
Nothing's impossible. I've heard that next week involves another Survivor first, whatever that
Ooh,
means.
that's exciting.
So
That's cool. Yeah, it sounds like Aubrey's in the toughest position here.
it does sound like Aubrey's in trouble if she doesn't win immunity. I think she is. Yeah.
Yeah, she pretty much needs it, and twice. Probably needs it twice.
She needs it and twice.
Yeah, and twice. She needs to win 2 immunities in a row. I
But
think
she's good. She could do it. You know, we've had
absolutely.
such a random. I think everybody's won a challenge. It's not been like Joey Amazing wins everything. It's been everybody's been winning. So it's really anyone's game, and it depends entirely on what the challenge is.
Yeah, I believe that nothing wins immunity is like willpower, like the willpower, the desire to win.
Mm-hmm.
This whoever has the strongest desire to win, that's who always wins it, especially towards the end. I mean, not always, but a lot of the time. I mean, I think of like Mike Holloway's extreme example, like winning all those immunities because he had to, because he wanted it so bad. He wasn't going to let anything else happen. I think about Cochran, like Cochran won a couple, he won the final immunity challenge because I can't think of anybody who wanted it more than he did at that point. And like Boston Rob in his season, I mean, he wasn't going to lose that immunity challenge.
No.
Yeah,
I mean, and when we saw both Sydney and Tai can push themselves, and Aubrey even can push themselves to the limit. I don't think Michelle's coming into it. I don't think Michelle's going to win any immunities. But
it could
unless
happen.
it involves memorizing symbols and numbers again.
Yeah, she was really good at that. That was impressive.
Yeah, puzzles maybe could be Michelle's thing.
Well, there's usually these, I don't know, usually these last immunity challenges are like a giant obstacle course with a puzzle at the end. You go collect your 4 bags and then you make a puzzle out of the 4 bags, That's usually what it is, but season 31 it was the ball challenge where you pick up the balls and let them roll down the thing. So that
like a concentration endurance type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's one of those two things, or they can have both. Like last season, they did the big, huge obstacle course at Final 5, and did the smaller ball challenge at Final 4.
Right.
So
it's just a matter of which one is going to be the final challenge.
Yeah.
Tough to say, but yeah, Aubrey, I think her desire could pull her through.
Yeah.
Although
this is why this Final 4 is so cool, because it's literally, it's anybody's game. Any one of those 4 could win, I think.
Yeah. No, and I think that's fantastic, because I can't say enough how awesome that is, because I can't remember the last time in Survivor that you've had 3 people, let alone 4, that they're all like players where you're like, yeah, they could win. That's okay. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
It seems like it's been a really long time since that's happened, and I don't know how it happened, but it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I think these last few episodes have not been great, but I'm hopeful that the finale is kind of going to make up for that, and it's going to be intense.
Yeah,
dramatic.
It's starting. You're starting to get that feeling of, oh, the season is fizzling out, and that's never good. But I think there's just no way that with these 4 left that it can completely fizzle, right? I mean, it's gotta have a little bit of excitement going on.
I would hope so.
Yeah, I don't see how it couldn't.
How could it not? Yeah. Someone's gonna have to make some kind of crazy move, So we'll see.
Yeah.
What that move ends up being.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be a good one.
Well,
real good.
Should we try to make some predictions?
Oh boy, yeah, I guess so.
Final predictions. I think last season in our podcast, last season was the first season we ever podcasted on, right? I mean, we just got started.
Did we even make predictions, or did we just do our tiers?
Well, I think we just really fell off, staying consistent with the podcasts at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's
especially,
true.
I think mainly because I had a rough finals thing with school.
Schedule.
Yeah, I just couldn't do it. So I think, we didn't really have a chance to make. I think maybe we made like a special, like a
We
pre-finale
did do
special.
a pre-finale podcast just to kind of make up for the lack of podcasts before it.
We didn't.
But I don't
yeah.
know if we actually made one, like if we each picked one person. I guess I don't remember.
Right. I'd like to. We should go back and watch that. That'd be fun. Just not the whole thing, maybe, but
I think it was kind of long.
Yeah.
But let's each pick a person. Let's just actually put our money on a person this time.
Okay, that's cool.
Non-existent money.
But I mean, I might have to think it through a little bit. Do you know who you're gonna pick, or?
Well,
or no?
I think I'm just gonna pick Sydney, just because I feel like I need to stick with her because I've been with her not since the beginning, but since early on.
Yeah.
And I would like her to take it home. And I feel like she's been playing the weird, like maybe a new kind of game. Like she's really good at this game.
Yeah.
And people don't notice it. And that, I guess that could maybe be a problem if she gets to the final tribal council and she's up against someone like Aubry. Maybe she's not going to be able to, explain her game all that well. But
that could be a problem.
I'm hopeful that she can. I don't think it's going to be a Sydney Aubry final two. I really don't see that happening. But
no, that's like we said. I can't even figure out a scenario where that's possible. It's
well.
Because neither one of those two will bring each other.
Yeah, because if it's final three is those two and someone else.
Yeah.
Either Michele or Tai.
Whoever wins immunity,
that's obviously
a
clear choice over Sydney or Aubry.
Yeah, exactly. So, and they're both logical players, and there's no way they'll go with each other. there's just no way. I'm sorry.
No.
So yeah, it's gonna be one or the other. It depends. Like. Mm-hmm. I feel like if I was a betting man, I would definitely put my money on Sydney because she has like the best overall chance of not only making it to the end but winning. So I would have to agree with your pick there, but I think just to pick the other thing and
don't say Michele. Don't say Michele.
No, I would. I'm not. I'm going to say Aubry. I'm saying Aubry. Yeah. Because, and that is partly based on winner edit too. I hate to say it, but there's just like so much stuff that so much compelling footage that was given to us throughout the season of things Aubry did right, and that makes a strong case for Aubry as the winner.
If there's a narrator of this season, it's certainly Aubry. But think back to last season, how we were kind of saying that Spencer was is he getting a winner's edit? He's getting a lot of confessionals. He's kind of a narrator. Mm-hmm. But he was he just got shut straight out at the finals. So
yeah.
That's for the winner's edit. You need someone to explain what's going on. And
well, to me, Spencer fizzled out.
He did. You're right.
Towards the end, where you could tell, okay, if he goes to the end, I don't think he can win because he's just not that good this season.
Right.
Not
and
anymore.
I would say though, in the last couple of episodes, Aubry, other than her bringing Tai back on board that conversation, other than that, the last couple episodes, she's kind of faded a little bit for me as well.
A little bit. You're starting to see more of that human side of her again that you saw at the beginning. And that part of her personality hasn't just gone away. It's part of who she is. And there was just a moment or a time there in the middle, in the merge part where she was just on point. She was on top of her game, and good for her. So I guess I pick Aubry. You pick Sydney. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, both solid picks. I mean. Would you be, and again, a season can't be completely undone by a bad winner, and not that any of these people would be a terrible winner, but how would you feel about like a Michele win or a Tai win?
I think I'd be happier with a Tai win, even though I think
He's had some shoddy gameplay.
Yeah, Tai's not that great, but just to think back to the beginning of the season when we first got to meet Tai and to imagine him making it through the whole season and winning, just looking at through that perspective, it would
Story-wise,
just
yeah.
be cool because everyone was saying like, "Oh, I love Tai, but there's no way in hell he's gonna win." And
Mhm.
I mean, maybe not everyone said that, but I think that a lot of people thought that. I think I probably thought that. I'm sure I did.
I think I
Um,
did too.
so from that perspective, just to see Tai actually win it would be super cool because I'm thinking of that Tai that you fell in love with in the first couple episodes. Just an interesting person and a cool guy. But yeah, we've obviously seen Tai fall apart. You know,
Yeah.
like at this point, he has made so many blunders and just not what we had hoped for him. So he
Yeah.
in that sense, he's not really a great winner. But I don't know. And
I think
Michele, nah,
I think
yeah,
I'd feel more satisfied with a Michelle win, to be
oh yeah,
honest, between
yeah,
the two of them, because she's been kind of the opposite, whereas she hasn't made any glaring mistakes. I mean, she's kind of rolled with the tide when she needed to.
yeah,
She wrote down Julia's name when she had to. She went with the women when she had to. She voted out Nick, who was an ally too. And it's not like she was spearheading these movements. Therefore, they weren't looked at as betrayals. But she did what she had to do. And now you see her strategizing more and talking to Tai and being like, look, I'm open to work with you. We can do this. And I haven't seen Tai, making those kind of moves so much as like going with where his heart is pulling him. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Whereas Michelle has been kind of the opposite. But again, she doesn't have anything to be like, look what I did. So I actually think now that I'm talking it through, maybe Michelle Tai final, while it wouldn't be the most, satisfying end, would be kind of interesting to see how their resumes compared against each other.
Yeah, like how the jury decides to vote, and because I mean, I feel like
I think
Ty's decision to not play the super idol with Scott and Jason, I think that's a pretty good resume checkpoint. I don't know. Do you
yeah,
think
it
it is?
depends on if you're dealing with a bitter jury. If you've got a bitter jury, then I think
Well, if Scott and
I don't know, even if you yeah,
Jason are on
I
the
think
jury, so they might not like
I
that
think
move.
yeah, I think Tai has burned more people. But I also think even if they're not bitter about it, I think people are going to be able to look at Michelle's game and be like, she did all right. I
Yeah,
don't know.
no, I agree. I honestly think Michelle played really well, and I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think I would be disappointed with her as the winner. It just like
No.
not quite as exciting as Aubry or Sydney because they just seem to play more of a hands-on kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Michelle was totally, a goat by any means. I think she did
Mm-mm.
some good stuff. Just not as much not as
Pizzazz.
much pizzazz there. But I'd be cool with her winning. And yeah, if it's got to be Michelle in the in the final two, then it's got to be Tai with her because, like you said, that'd be way more interesting to see those two go head to head. Because I feel like
Yeah, I mean, if it's Michelle versus Sydney or Aubry, or if it's
yeah,
Tai versus either of those two, it's kind
probably
of a foregone conclusion. So, I
yeah,
mean, it might
yeah.
be the only exciting final possibility there is.
Well, Sydney and Aubrey would be amazing,
Yeah,
but
but
that's not going
like
to
we
happen.
said, that's not going to
Yeah,
happen.
I just I'm
So
praying to the Survivor gods, like, come on, Sydney and Aubrey, that would just be
let's have some
fantastic.
fluke crazy, but I don't want them to get there by some weird fluke either. I want them,
Yeah, there's
I
no
don't know.
way. I mean, the only other way is if like they got there. It was Michelle, Sydney, and Aubrey, and Michelle or Aubrey and Sydney were like, "Hey, Michelle is a big threat. We should vote her out."
Yeah,
That
and
could happen, but probably not.
I'm not sure that Sydney was completely against going to the end with Aubrey when she thought it was a final three. But once she finds out it's a final two, you've got to imagine that she's like, okay, I'm not going against Aubrey in final
Yeah,
two.
yeah, it's gonna be tough. I hope it happens, but probably not. All right. Well, any final thoughts before we head into next week and the finale of Survivor Kaoh Rong?
No, I'm just excited.
Yeah, it's been a freaking awesome season.
It's been a really good season. I
Yeah,
enjoyed it thoroughly. Every week was fun. I mean,
yeah,
some weeks were not as fun as others, but
Yeah.
Most of them were pretty good.
Every season, I mean, you have to get the votes out of the way that are, this, you know, not as exciting to see this person go home. You got to get them
Yeah.
home at some point,
But for the most part, this season was super unpredictable, and I
Oh, yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it's so much better that way.
Much, much better.
Although you've been very good at predicting this season, I feel like. I mean, you predicted the last 3 weeks, I think you've gotten right, something like that.
I don't think I predicted Joe was going to get evacuated, but I think I said he'd get evacuated in the finale.
Maybe you
So,
did. I could have sworn you said it was this episode.
well,
Yeah, we'll have to go back and look at that podcast from last
the
week.
fantasy scores don't lie, Dave.
Yeah, are you destroying in that? I'm
Yeah,
guessing because I
I'm
didn't
destroying.
I didn't I missed my picks one week, and that pretty much just messes up your whole game.
Yeah, at this stage of the game, yeah.
Well, you lose your MVP if you
Oh,
miss a
that's
week.
right. Yeah.
So
Yep.
it completely
You're
screws
right.
the whole thing, which sucks. Oh well, maybe next year.
Oh well, maybe next year.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you next time when we discuss the season finale. Are we going to try to do a reminiscing, like a season
Yeah,
reminiscing
I think
before?
we should because there's not going to be anything to talk about
Are
for
we going to
predictions or
do it
anything.
before the finale? Or are we going to just kind of make a big podcast where we talk about
No,
the
I think we should do it
finale?
after the finale.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about our thoughts on the way the season ended, and then we'll do a little retrospect on the season.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. All right,
Yes,
so
that
we'll do
makes
that
sense.
next week.
Very good.
All right, guys, thanks for listening. See you next time. Goodbye.
Good night.